Ever feel like you're soaking up other people's emotions until you're totally drained? Welcome back to the 4Q Boundaries Deep Dive, where we're exploring how to find your center and cultivate inner peace in a relentlessly demanding world. I'm Grace, and I'm so glad you're here with me and Matthew.
Hey there, I'm Matthew. And wherever you're listening or watching this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share to help support our channel and its message to reach a larger audience.
Thanks, Matthew. That really helps us spread the word. Now, to our topic for today. Have you ever walked into a room feeling totally fine, just centered, and then you leave feeling heavy? Weighed down by some emotion that just isn't yours? Or maybe you feel like you're constantly soaking up how other people feel until you're just overwhelmed, totally drained, and kind of disconnected from your own self.
Yeah, that feeling of being pulled around emotionally. It's really common.
It really is.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into something really foundational for personal freedom, emotional boundaries.
That's right.
Our goal here is to help you figure out how to reclaim your own emotional space so you can move through life with, more clarity and confidence. What's really fascinating, I think, is how subtle it can be. How our own emotional energy can kind of merge with others, often without us even noticing it's happening. So this deep dive will be shining a light on those lines, those boundaries, drawing from some really insightful sources on personal boundaries and general well-being. Think of it like mapping your own emotional territory.
I like that. Mapping your territory. Okay, so before we dive too deep, maybe we should get grounded. What exactly is this emotional body?
We're going to be talking about a place to start. Our sources describe the emotional body as this kind of energetic field, almost like a vibrant aura, that surrounds your physical body, but also interpenetrates everything in your organs. It's not separate, it's integral, it's deeply woven in with your soul personality, as some sources put it. And this field, this dynamic space, that's where you actually experience and process all your emotions. It's constantly talking to your physical body, your mental body, your spiritual body, shaping how you respond to, everything really. Every interaction, every situation.
It's like your personal emotional climate control, always adjusting.
Yeah, and just like your physical body tries to stay balanced, like keeping a steady temperature, your emotional body is always seeking what scientists call homeostasis.
Homeostasis. Right. Balance. A state of equilibrium.
Yeah, and when your emotional body is in that balanced state, you feel things like clarity or calmness, maybe just a sense of neutral presence.
Okay, but that doesn't mean you're not feeling things.
Actually, it's the opposite. It lets you experience the whole rich spectrum. Anger, sadness, love, passion, joy, excitement without any single one grabbing the steering wheel and controlling you.
So you can feel them, acknowledge them, but they don't take over.
Precisely. You let them move through you instead of getting stuck.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so if that's the emotional body striving for balance, then what exactly is an emotional boundary within that landscape?
Once you understand the landscape, you need to know the property lines, so to speak. An emotional boundary is basically that invisible but really vital line. It marks where your emotional energy ends and someone else's begin.
Okay.
It boils down to recognizing that your emotional experiences are yours alone. And crucially, you aren't responsible for carrying other people's emotions, just like they aren't responsible for yours. When your emotional body is balanced, just like we discussed, it naturally holds this healthy boundary, and that lets you feel your own stuff fully, without absorbing or getting swamped by the emotions floating around you from other people. It gives you that space to just be.
Now, I can imagine some people hearing this and thinking, okay, is this just about putting up rigid walls, shutting people out?
Yeah, that's a common misconception.
But what I'm hearing you say, and what the sources suggest, is it's actually more about self-discovery, like constantly asking, what do I notice? It's not about strict rules or being dogmatic.
That's exactly right. The whole approach we're exploring here really centers on that simple, powerful question. What do you notice? It's about validating your unique experience, your subjective reality. It aligns with this whole philosophy of, keeping it simple. Learning through experience rather than rigid rules. It's about building awareness from the inside out so you can discern your feelings, your reactions, rather than being told what to feel. It's more of a gentle, curious exploration.
Okay, gentle exploration. I like that. So, if our emotional body naturally wants this balance, how do these boundaries, these vital lines get compromised then? What's actually going on when we feel like we're absorbing other people's feelings?
Well, the sources talk about foreign energies or patterns. I think of them like energetic, static, or interference. Sometimes these can get lodged in your emotional body.
Lodged, like stuck?
Yeah, kind of stuck. And that disrupts the natural equilibrium we talked about, which then compromises your emotional boundary. Imagine your emotional space is like a calm pond, right? These foreign energies are like pebbles tossed in. They create ripples that aren't originally yours, but they affect the whole surface anyway, and these influences can come from all over. For instance, think about family emotional patterns.
Okay, like inherited stuff?
Exactly. Inherited? Or you just learn ways of dealing with emotions passed down through generations. You might react really intensely to conflict, maybe, and then realize, hang on, that's how my mom always reacted. But it doesn't actually feel like your authentic response. It's like wearing an emotional hand-me-down that doesn't quite fit.
Wow.
Yeah, then there's the constant stream from emotionally charged media.
Oh yeah, social media, the news, etc.
Right. Spend an hour doom scrolling, soaking up all that collective anxiety from the news cycle. We're getting totally sucked into the drama of some TV show. That anxiety, that drama, it isn't yours. But it can settle on you, like this heavy cloak. You can't quite shake it. And it's so easy to mistake that absorbed emotional energy for your own actual feelings.
I've definitely felt that.
And even with people we love, like empathic connections with friends. It's natural to feel for a friend going through a tough breakup, right? But if you absorb their sadness so much that it starts dragging you down, you feel just as heartbroken, just as drained as them, even though it didn't happen to you. That's a sign. Your boundary has become too permeable. You're carrying their emotional load instead of just offering support from your own stable place.
That's a really key distinction. Support versus absorption.
Exactly. And when these foreign entities break through your boundary, they don't just sit there quietly. They can actually influence how your emotions express yourself. It can lead to being more reactive, feeling on edge all the time, losing your emotional objectivity. It's like someone else has the remote control for your feelings.
That really paints a picture, and I think so many of us can relate to that feeling. So, okay, what does this mean practically? How do we start to counteract that absorption and get that clarity back? How do we shift this?
So to actively make that shift, our sources point to 3 really key aspects for building a healthy emotional boundary. First one is maintaining emotional balance.
Okay.
And like we said, this isn't about being emotionless. It's about actively cultivating that balanced state where you can feel the whole range, but no single emotion runs the show. The big part of this is learning to recognize those foreign energies we just talked about.
Right. Pebbles in the pond.
Yeah, and consciously taking steps to release them. Just let them go so your system can return to its natural calm. The second key aspect is discernment.
Discernment, meaning?
Meaning, developing the ability to clearly tell the difference between your authentic emotions and the emotions you might be picking up from others. When you can really do that, you get empowered. You can take responsibility for your own feelings without unconsciously soaking up or reacting to everything around you. It's about creating that pause inside to ask, what is this feeling? And is it actually mine?
That takes practice, I imagine.
It does. And that leads to the third aspect, autonomy and choice. This is recognizing you have the power, the inherent right, to choose how you interact with people, how deep you engage, how much you let in. And that choice comes from being aware of your own emotional state and your boundaries. It empowers you to build healthy, fulfilling relationships where you can be truly present but not overwhelmed. It's like consciously designing how you engage emotionally.
Okay, so balance, discernment, and choice. If you connect that to the bigger picture, what are the real tangible benefits? What does it actually feel like when you get a good handle on this kind of boundary?
Oh, the benefits are huge. It's really transformative. When you master your emotional boundaries, you truly get to experience the full spectrum of your emotions: power, peace, sadness, anger, fear, joy. all of it without being controlled by any one of them. You become the conductor of your emotional orchestra, not just one instrument being played.
Nice analogy.
You start living with so much more emotional clarity and confidence because you're coming from your authentic center, not just reacting to external stuff. You also develop this deep emotional resilience. That means you can navigate tough emotions, difficult situations with more ease, more grace. Instead of getting knocked off your feet, you can observe what's happening, process it, and move through it, knowing it won't completely derail you. Ultimately, this whole journey is about reclaiming your emotional freedom. It's about authentic ownership of your feelings, living a more intentional, grounded life, where your energy is truly yours.
That sounds incredibly liberating, honestly. But, and this is important, what are some of the common roadblocks? What challenges do people usually hit when they try to establish these boundaries, especially at the beginning? It's not always smooth sailing, is it?
No, definitely not. You're right. It's a process. One of the biggest hurdles is that very thing we started with, absorbing others' emotions, which leads directly to losing your emotional objectivity. It's just hard to see clearly when you're caught up in someone else's emotional storm. Our sources also mentioned getting stuck in something called a validation loop.
Validation loop. What's that?
It's when you're constantly looking outside yourself for approval, trying to manage how other people feel about you. Maybe trying to keep the peace all the time just to feel okay or accepted.
People-pleasing territory.
Exactly. And it leaves you feeling hollow because your sense of worth is tied to external reactions, not your own inner state. You're constantly reacting, trying to anticipate others instead of responding from your own truth. It's absolutely exhausting and drains your emotional battery. Another big challenge is reacting based on old unconscious patterns. These are often really deep habits. Maybe from childhood or past hurts, where you learn certain emotional responses just to cope.
Like default settings.
Yeah, default settings is a great way to put it. Maybe you learned you had to be the fixer or the peacekeeper in your family. So now, unconsciously, you keep taking on other people's problems or feelings, even when it's hurting you. Shifting those deep patterns takes real conscious effort, patience, and a lot of self-awareness.
Okay, so knowing those challenges, what does this mean for you, the person listening right now? What are some things you can actually start doing today to cultivate a stronger emotional body, a healthier boundary?
Great question. Our sources give some really concrete, actionable practices. First up, grounding.
Okay, grounding. We hear that term a lot. What does it mean here?
It means engaging in practices that connect you back to the present moment, back to your physical self. It could be super simple, like taking a few slow, deep breaths, or really noticing the feeling of your feet on the floor, or just stepping outside for a couple minutes feeling the air. Grounding helps stabilize your emotional body, bringing you back to center.
Simple but effective. Okay, what else?
Second, self-reflection. Really explore your own emotional patterns and triggers. Journaling can be amazing for this, or meditation. Don't just note what you felt. Try to dig a bit into what triggered it. What thoughts were running alongside that feeling? Try to spot those recurring responses, the situations or people that tend to set them off. That awareness is gold. Third, release emotional baggage. If you notice those recurring negative emotions where you feel really reactive a lot, maybe look into techniques specifically for releasing trapped emotions or limiting beliefs.
How does that work?
Well, it's not about ignoring feelings. It's about finding the root thought pattern behind the emotion, and consciously working to unwire it, like realizing your constant need for approval. Maybe links back to a childhood belief, like, I'm only okay if everyone likes me. Seeing that connection helps release the emotional charge.
Got it. That makes sense.
Fourth, cultivate emotional resilience. This is about practicing navigating tough feelings with self-compassion. Like really being kind to yourself. Learn to just observe your emotions without judging them, like watching clouds drift by. And develop healthy ways to cope. That actually nourish you, instead of just distracting you temporarily. Treat yourself, like you'd treat a good friend who's struggling.
Self-compassion is key.
Absolutely. And finally, create a supportive environment. This one is huge. Surround yourself as much as possible with people in places that genuinely uplift you, that empower you. And consciously limit exposure to negativity. Whether it's people or media or relationships that consistently leave you feeling drained.
That might mean some tough choices sometimes.
It might. It doesn't always mean cutting ties completely, but maybe adjusting how you engage or setting much clearer boundaries within those relationships.
And it all comes back to that core question from Michael Spackman, which you mentioned earlier, that self-observation. What do I notice physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually when I place my attention on some type of stimulus? That question feels like an internal compass.
It really is. It always guides you back to your own direct experience, your truth. And these practices we've discussed, they're truly accessible first steps. They don't need huge changes. Just that consistent awareness and a willingness to explore what's going on inside. It's about building conscious boundaries and taking back your personal power.
So, if you're listening and feeling ready to take a deeper dive, to really continue this journey of self-discovery and empowerment,
then we'd love to invite you to explore the 4Q Boundaries membership. It gives you unlimited access to all the basic and advanced fundamentals audio training courses we have, playlists, video trainings, plus there's community support and ongoing learning. It can really help solidify these practices in your life.
you can find all the details on that, including the different options, like a flexible monthly pass or an annual membership for a deeper dive, right on our website. Just head over to 4qboundaries.com to learn more and maybe join us.
Well, that brings us to the end of this 4Q Boundaries deep dive on emotional boundaries. Thank you so much for joining us for this exploration.
Yeah, thank you. Understanding how to reclaim your emotional freedom. It's just such a profound step towards overall well-being and living more authentically.
Absolutely. Join us next time. We're going to continue the journey and dive into the fascinating world of your mental boundaries. That's all about protecting your thoughts, your beliefs, your perceptions from all that external noise and influence out there.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And until then, maybe consider this little thought experiment. Reflect on a recent interaction you had, that wave of emotion you felt. Was it truly yours? Was it an authentic response coming from your core? Or was it maybe something you absorbed? Maybe from the room? Maybe from the other person without even realizing it?
Something to chew on until next time. Stay well and keep diving deep.